So I'm keeping this short and simple to a certain degree. Again, this is for anyone from the beginning stages of, hey, I want to lose 5 pounds, to someone who's had some difficulty in the past, but it is about, weight and getting healthier in general. So we definitely don't always want to look at specifically just weight, because clearly there's a lot of different factors. But overall, there are 3 main areas, exercise, movement of our body, nutrition, energy, fuel, what we are putting in our body, and our mindset, how to create these habits, how to get yourself motivated, how to make it all work. So I'm going to start off with the exercise, nutrition side of things. Movement is key. Every single person that is tuning in knows this. And yet, it's one of those things that can be difficult. So you may be an individual who is struggling with movement because of different things. There's chronic pain or limited mobility, other types of issues. And yet, to a certain degree, we can all have some kind of movement. So clearly, working with someone more on a one-on-one basis, if you're a little bit more complicated, is a good idea. But in general, knowing that movement, whatever it is, does not have to be going out for marathon runs, right? This is something where it's important for our physiological structure, our body in general, to have movement. That is a key. And to a certain degree, we want it every day if we can. So I like to phrase it this way. Think about it. Every day, 23.5 hours, you don't have to exercise. I mean, you don't have to exercise regardless. But if you're choosing to start some kind of movement regimen, otherwise known as exercise, hey, 23.5 hours, you don't have to do it, right? And, I just use this number as a general figure, but especially if you're starting out, I know of individuals who have gone on to do marathons who literally started off at 1/10 of a mile, 5 minutes. So it's looking at where I'm at right now and pushing myself a little bit within, as long as that's medically cleared and all that kind of stuff. We want to set ourselves up for success. What I mean by that is make it easy to be able to participate in walking, swimming, hiking, jogging, whatever. If you are one of those people, and a lot of this talk, by the way, is me asking hopefully poignant questions to you to make you think. If you're one of those people that knows, all right, this is what motivates me, this is what gets me going, so to speak. If it is, hey, I want to get healthier for my grandkids. If it is, hey, I want to lose some weight so I look better. If it is whatever, everything in between, right? You kind of have to know yourself. What pushes you? What motivates you? And so if you want to set yourself up for success, to a certain degree, we want to decrease the steps it takes to be able to accomplish something. So for example, going to the gym. Clearly within the last couple months, that has been altered a bit, but getting to a point where you got the membership down, if the gym is open, well, let's use a different example since that's somewhat complicated. Going out for a walk, right? Getting out of your front door and being able to walk. So what would be something to set yourself up for success? Putting your walk-in shoes right near the door, giving yourself some kind of a reward to a certain degree. And I'm not necessarily talking about like sweets or treats, reward can be anything. Watching a favorite show later, whatever. We'll get to the motivation piece a little bit more in the future as well. But it's also important to be able to enjoy the movement piece of this, right? So it is one of those things where most people can do something, anything, for a set period of time, but unless it's something we value, we get something out of, we can have fun with. And this isn't to say that you need to love running or love swimming or something else. but what can you enjoy about it, right? That's the key here, is to be able to get to a place where it's not a chore, it's not a task. And that's a common thread within exercise, within nutrition, within our mindset. You know, this is about a lifestyle change. And I think that that has been more commonly used in terms of lifestyle change instead of the term diet, because really I think we're starting to see the value of, hey, diets work for that amount of time, this amount of time, the however many days, and then we go back to, you know, the yo-yo kind of thing. If we're able to enjoy movement, if we're able to enjoy some part of it, whether it's, hey, I'm going to call my friend on the phone when I am walking, I'm going to do this or that, then we're a lot, our chance of doing it increases, for the long run. So let me transition over to nutrition. You have to venture out into the unknown to a certain degree. And I'll say, you know, if you're one of those people that is a super healthy eater and there's other things going on, then that maybe this isn't. You need to venture out into the unknown. But for the most part, you know, people who are tuning in, you got to try some new things. You know, I will say personally, going from a place when I was much younger, and I had about 4 things that I ate: pizza, hot dogs, ice cream, burgers. That was my diet. Fortunately, my wife now, but at the time, she started to introduce me to a few things. It's about learning what you like, learning how to prepare it, so obviously we don't have enough time to go into all of that. But again, this is the key. Healthy food can be tasty food. So this may be a little bit more difficult than simply buying food for yourself, making it for yourself. Clearly, you know, many of you may have families you're cooking for, significant others. They may be cooking for you. That, you know, so to a certain degree, I want to showcase and recognize that you may be going against the grain a little bit. Not everyone is on your path, and that's okay. We are all at different points, different places. The biggest key is starting to integrate some healthier options. You know, it's about being able to get to what, you know, looking at your current pattern, you know, whether it's drinking too much soda, whether that's having too much pizza, burgers, eating in the middle of the night, whatever it is, you got to first be aware of it to be able to then alter and make some healthier choices. But that also includes, I put on here, you know, we don't have too many holidays coming up, maybe July 4th, 5th, ice cream and all that kind of stuff, you know, but you may be going against the herd a little bit. Delayed gratification is also a very important part of this process. So for those of you that know what delayed gratification is and have seen all the, what's called the marshmallow test, the marshmallow study, if you Google that, you'll see some amazing funny videos of children with a marshmallow. And basically what they asked them to do, I think they're about 5 years old. This is a pretty old study. They've redone it a lot, but they asked children to not eat the marshmallow, and that if the the instructor, whoever they maybe it was, they're going to leave, and after a couple minutes, if the marshmallow is still there, then they get 2 marshmallows instead. So then they have the video of the kids kind of trying to figure out if they can do it, wait 5 minutes to eat this delicious treat, whatever. The whole premise is that delayed gratification is very important. They tracked these children over the years, and what they found is those that were able to delay gratification, right, not eat that first marshmallow. This isn't only about health, but they found that the relationships were better. They had better jobs. They furthered their education. So delayed gratification in and of itself can be useful, with nutrition, as well as many other areas. But it's important to realize that, hey, if I don't do something now, then potentially I will have a better result later. And it can be kind of a tricky thing, especially if there are unhealthy foods in front of you, if it's soda, if it's something else, right? That moment though, that moment where you're saying to yourself, okay, I can go down this path and I will have the same result. So saying that I always like to mention, if we do what we've always done, we will get what we've always got. If I follow the same nutrition plan, if I, in this moment, eat this, most likely things are not going to change. I got to go out into the unknown a little bit. So I mentioned healthy food can taste just as good as unhealthy food. It is different, and yet our body adapts. Our taste buds evolve. This happens over time naturally. But the thing is, if you start to branch out step by step by step over time, you may be able to notice, hey, I really enjoy nuts, seeds, and that's a healthier version of different fats than some other snack, whatever it is, you name it, kind of thing. So it's about branching out. And I mentioned diets clearly. Diets are not the way to go. We want to have something that is long lasting. It is a lifestyle change. So let's go through the mindset component here. So one thing that is very important for everyone to get is that when you are starting something, whether it is a new healthy routine, and again, this is for those of you that are in our Sleep to Slender program here at Valley Sleep, or just in general thinking about this, other things, there's always a root of all change. And it basically comes down to, what am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? When individuals have difficulty creating behavior change, or change of any kind, ultimately, there's usually something that I want to ask them. It is, what are you not willing to do? That's what this comes down to. It's getting uncomfortable. Usually there's some limit to where our comfort level is. I'm willing to do X, Y, and Z. I'm not willing to do this. So I really want everyone to think for a moment, truly, and think about what this is. Where is your level? What are you willing to do? What are you not willing to do? And perhaps, tonight, you may be willing to do X, Y, and Z, but what is it that really, after a week or two, what is it that really catches you and makes it difficult to, to continue on with something? So I'm going to pause for a second, because I really do want everyone to think about this, because this is, the awareness side is very important as well. So again, something, to keep thinking about in the future. But when I mentioned willing to do X, Y, and Z, not willing to do one thing, this is a process, right? So everyone, this is something that does take time, and that's okay. The more change and alteration, and the more sticking with something, the more it becomes a habit, becomes a pattern, becomes a lifestyle change, right? So it is okay if you're in a place where you are okay with certain changes and not others, but it's something to be aware of and know that you can continue to work through whatever that last fail-safe is, so to speak. So let's get back to this motivation set. Again, another question I pose to you: what motivates you? It's different for everyone. Whatever motivates you, for the most part, I'm assuming, is okay. It is who you are. So whether it is one of those things where it's, you're in a place where you want to lose a little bit of weight to look better, great. If you want to be healthier so you can exercise with friends, great. If it is something about, this is something that your medical provider has indicated, hey, losing weight would be good for your long-term health. Great. You know, but knowing what it is that specifically will help you on this path, that will drive you, that will, you know, kind of burn a flame under you, so to speak, is important. So some of the questions you can ask yourself to get there are, you know, why do I need to change? So not should I change? Why should I change? Why do I want to change? Why do I need to change? Very subtle difference, but can be very important. Why do you need to change? This is the thing. If you're able to get to a point where it is a must, and I'll talk about in the future here, making things a must instead of an okay, or I should, or maybe I will, you know, we have a lot better chance of following through if your mind is completely set on something, you know. So if you make it a must, if you need to change, more likely you're on that path. So another question, what would life look like if you kept things the same? I'm anticipating that for some of you, this question actually may be a motivator, you know, because you're fed up. You want to alter what is going on in some way or another. Use that as motivation, right? So this is how we can start using our mindset. So whether that is, you know, putting that on a mirror every day, whether that is saying, I need to change for blank, for another person, for myself, for 18 years from now, watching my kids walk down the aisle, being able to see my grandkids, whatever it is, you know, you want to hold that in and be aware of that motivating factor. And on the other side of this, you know, why do I need to change to do positive things? So I just mentioned a couple in terms of, you know, being able to be there for kids, grandkids, being able to do X, Y, and Z, feeling better, more energy, more clarity, all that kind of stuff. You know, what positives can happen if you are to switch around patterns. So again, making it a must. Fire yourself up. Use your anger. Use your happiness, frustration, whatever. I was looking for a picture of the Emperor Sorcerer from Star Wars, you know, where he's like, feel the anger, and the lightning is coming out of his fingertips. Whatever, you know, use whatever it is that drives you, because it is different for different people. All right, so knowing that you can do this, it is possible, right? So to a certain degree, there isn't some divine force that is making us eat a second helping, or have that extra soda, or staying on the couch. And I definitely would like to say, I understand there are multiple factors that can impact motivation, as well as mobility and chronic pain and other kinds of things. And yet we want to say to ourselves, what can we do today that is just a little bit more? You know, what can we alter? So it may not be exercise, it may be eating healthier, maybe nutrition, that kind of thing. But in being able to realize that this can happen in terms of changing around patterns, think of other patterns that you've changed around, right? Have you ever gone through a period of, you know, a couple weeks where you were exercising more, where you're eating a lot healthier? What were you doing? What was going on? Right? So the key here is to be able to follow suit with previous patterns, as opposed to, what's the term, building the wheel again, or that's not exactly how it goes, but the whole thing is we don't need to rebuild this whole process. What works a lot of times. So if you've done some good things in the past, you know, definitely know that those are things that you can go back to. Organization. So part of this process, and for those of you that are in the program here at Valley Sleep, you know, keeping track of everything, that's part of the process. For those that are doing this kind of on your own or with a different group, I definitely advise the more specific we can get to, the better. So there's some research, it's a simple acronym, it's called the SMART steps, SMART goals. And it starts, it's specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time sensitive. So basically it is shown that if we have a goal of some kind, we have a certain percent chance of attaining that goal. The more specific, measurable, the more realistic, the more identifiable, the more we can write this out, the higher chance we are towards achieving this goal. If you can write out steps, right? So, exercising 3 times during the week for 30 minutes each time. Okay, great. What would that be? Walking, biking, doing something else? What time of day? Specifically, when are we going to do it? What will happen if I don't have motivation? So setting yourself up, creating this sense of more information is better, taking the guesswork out of it. Again, for those of you who are in the Sleep to Slender or a different program, staying in the program. It's important, It's as simple as that. You will have good weeks, bad weeks. The important thing is to build skills and to start switching up, how this is working, so to speak, changing patterns, changing habits. And also, celebrating the successes. It's important to realize that you are a whole person already, right? You have produced a set of results in terms of nutrition, exercise, all of that. It has produced a set of results. That's what we want to look at. And if we want the same results, keep with the same nutrition, keep with the same exercise. If we want something else, we got to change up some patterns, right? And part of that is realizing, all right, hey, I'm doing some good things. I'm changing some things up, celebrating the successes. It's also important to identify the things that get us hung up. So we've talked a bit about that to a certain degree. Knowing what it is, being able to change it. So for example, just coming up with an example in my mind, someone who is coming home from work and they feel so fatigued and tired, that's when they would normally go out for a walk, but they're too darn tired, or in the morning, too darn tired to wake up, or in the middle of the weekend, it's too hot, right? Set yourself up for success, right? What is the barrier? Heat, fatigue, whatever, switch it up, right? Join a gym. Put your running shoes on at work. So when you get home, you are good to go. In the morning, have, I don't know, something, an alarm on your phone, a motivational quote, whatever, to get your out the door, right? So important to be able to identify that, switch it around. Another question here, though, is that most of the time when we hit a certain barrier, there's, what we're not willing to do, there is a payoff. This is another one of those questions I want you to really specifically tune into. What is the payoff of not changing? For some, it may be, I feel more comfortable, getting out of my exercise regimen may be uncomfortable. Going to the gym, is uncomfortable. I don't want to be around people, or, my family cooks all the food. So how am I supposed to, I would have to purchase other food. That, again, we want to be able to look at what is it that's driving the pattern to perpetuate, to continue, right? So clearly that's different for everybody. And I do see some pop-ups, I think, which may be chat. So I definitely will be getting to those once I finish up with this. So everybody hold tight. I appreciate you guys sending those in.
I'm answering some too as you talk. So
oh,
you're doing great. Yeah, I'm here. Keep going. You're doing great. But I would like you to review them when we get to the end.
Perfect. See, this is my positive motivator. Lori is here for me as my technical genius, because I'm not good with all this yet.
We're all learning together.
So visualizing yourself. Visualization is one of those things that I think a lot of people are aware of, and yet don't really fully practice that often, you know? If you were to make changes, and I'm not saying, you know, this is, all right, I'm joining the NBA tomorrow, I'm going to make an all-star team, I'm going to buy an island, I'm going to retire, you know, this is, if you were to make changes, if you were to lose 20 pounds, if that is your goal, what would be different, right? What would you be doing? Would you be waking up in the morning and going for a jog? Would you be waking up in the morning, going for a walk? Would you be waking up, preparing food? If it takes a little bit longer to prepare healthy food, would you be eating something differently? These are the kinds of things you want to realize, that if it's one of those things, if you can visualize it, it's actually easier to follow suit. If it's completely dormant, it's unknown to us, you know, it can be a little bit harder. So, you know, part of this is thinking of a friend, a family member who may have some of these habits. I mean, even asking them, hey, how do you get to, how does this work? How do you do this? What it helps for, you know, again, not reinventing the wheel here. And how you're specifically responding to certain situations, whatever those barrier moments are, morning, afternoon, evening, when you're fatigued, tired, not motivated, all that. So I did want to say as well, behavior change, altering lifestyle, usually it does not happen overnight, and that's okay. You know, altering things just a couple times a week, changing patterns a couple times a week, you know, I wrote down here, a year or 20 is going to pass anyway. You know, for those of us that are fortunate, we're going to be here in 20, you know, it's going to happen anyway. The key is, and I always like to point, and this may be a little strange through the webcam here, but there's a point in time, right? So hopefully this will work in the same way from a visualization standpoint. If in this point in time, we continue down a path, right? So this is the norm, straight line. A point in time, we determine, all right, I'm going to make some changes. After a week, we're not too far gone, right? Not too huge of a change. 2 weeks, 3, 4. What happens is over time, clearly, this separates, right? And, you know, to a certain degree, that's good, because small changes, small steps lead to big changes, big steps. The important thing is to keep with it week after week after week, you know. Another thing to know on the front end, because this is good to be aware of this kind of thing. So if it's, again, nutrition, if it's exercise, other healthy practices, there are going to be sacrifices. There's a pro and a con to everything, right? So knowing that ahead of time is important, you know, and that's why it's so key to identify, you know, foods you really love, or exercises that you really like, or doing things that are positive, because you want to stay with those, right? So it's not as much of a sacrifice. But in general, going out into the unknown, you know, it can be kind of scary on your own. So again, why, you know, programs such as the Sleep Slender can be really beneficial. And I mentioned this earlier, but not everyone is on your path, you know, and that's okay, you know, but some people may want to stay with the norm. They may want to stay with what is comfortable, and that's definitely okay, you know, for them as well. But know that, you know, you may be going off on your own a little bit, and yet utilizing resources, utilizing a community is very important, because it can be helpful to have that, you know, that give and take with others that are going through the same kind of thing as you. So again, I mentioned this before, but Everyone on this call is complete. They are a complete person. You are a whole person. This breaks down to, in the past, there have been decisions that have been made, and those decisions have produced results. If we want other changes, if we want new changes, that is, we got to switch up the decisions, and we will produce new results. I mean, I like to kind of break things down, and oftentimes that's what it comes down to. So learning to love the journey, enjoying different aspects of this. This is a general overview of a lot of different things that can help motivate, some general things about exercise, nutrition. It may take time to really identify what works for me. What are the patterns that work? What are the things that don't work? But staying the course is certainly so, so important to this process. So in general, obviously the Sleep to Slender program, it's something that is going on just because of, I'm one of the behavioral sleep medicine specialists. If sleep in particular is getting in the way of this, as for some of you it may, I just kind of wanted to throw in, if I can be of help, please let me know. I definitely work with people on an individual basis to figure out sleep and kind of start to alter some other healthy habits towards better sleep as well. So if it is something that you want to explore, if you are a current patient of Valley Sleep, then you can just go to the website and schedule directly with me. If not, we definitely want to have you, get set up with one of our other medical providers to make sure something else isn't going on that's impacting your sleep. So if you're not a patient already, then you could go to the same website, valleysleepcenter.com, schedule an appointment, and then you'd want to get set up with one of our other providers. But if you are a patient, definitely can set straight up with me. So I'm going to switch this off and then go to the chat here. And this is great. Looks like we have a lot of different questions here so far. So I'm going to go from the top down here. So food diaries. Yes, absolutely. Hey, if a food diary is one of those things that will help you to be more specific, more accountable, absolutely. So there's a lot of different food diaries online. There are food diary apps, whatever works best for you. If you need to put this food diary on your mirror right next to your toothbrush, so in the morning you see it, you can start writing down like how much water am I drinking, whatever. And then at night you pin that sucker back up. Great. So I definitely would say a food diary is, good to use. And yes, I see that Lori put in that's part of the Sleep to Slender program. I see, Mark, you're giving me the, yes, reinvent the wheel. That was the saying here. So there's a question here about why is soy bad for dieting? So honestly, I wouldn't be the person to ask that. So I would advise you to talk with one of our NPs, other providers with more specific information on the nutrition side of soy. Oh, and I see again, we've got Lori on the other side of here giving some feedback. Let's see, other questions. All right, so a specific question on sleep. It says here, I have no trouble falling asleep, but can't stay asleep for more than 4 hours at a time. I have difficulty falling back asleep. So any suggestions? So I would say it sounds like you have a bit of what's called maintenance insomnia to a certain degree. To be honest, there's a lot of different things that you could do. I think that without knowing more specific details, it may be hard to kind of pinpoint what's going on. But in general, we want regularity. We want our body to be used to certain times. It could be a component of if stress or anxiety or other mental health concerns are playing into this. It could be, waking up with worries, ruminating thoughts. It could be that, you know, when you're waking up, what is waking you up is different than what is keeping you up. You know, so what I would say is if it is something that you want to explore further, definitely let me know, or follow the Valley Sleep Center website and schedule something with me so that we can kind of dive in a little bit more. And then I see here, water intake should be 0.67 times your body weight in ounces a day. Yes, water is a very important part of this process as well. So any other questions or thoughts from anyone?
I'm back. I just want to thank everyone for joining. And I also wanted to encourage you guys to look up the rest of the week's events and the rest of the month. If you like this, we have a 4-part series going on right now from my friend Kristen Griffin, who's a life coach. And she's also kind of going over a lot of this kind of topic. Just really helpful, Dr. Frose. Thank you so much for all of this, because, you know, mindset is something that is so challenging for so many, even the ones that haven't figured out struggle. So it's mindset is something I think everybody battles daily, and just getting your priorities in order and making sure that mindset is correct.
Yeah.
And just allowing yourself time to love yourself and do things for yourself.
Yeah, and I see here, Laura, there's another question about what is the Sleep to Slender program. So you definitely be probably the better person to answer, because you know all the intricate details of that.
Yes, so Sleep to Slender is a medically supervised weight loss program that our nurse practitioners are guiding you through. So if you're a Valley Sleep Center patient, you can book an appointment, a consult, a Sleep to Slender consult. If you're not a Valley Sleep Center patient, then just book a sleep consult. And you can also book a Sleep to Slender consult, but in order for it to be covered by insurance, you need to have a sleep disorder. So but we also have a cash option, so that it's a 12-week program. You're going to be in a private Facebook group. We have exercise courses, yoga courses. We have a registered dietitian that's preparing meal plans. So it's a whole thing, and it's been really great. We've got about 10 people in it now. And I think we even might have somebody on here that's in it. So if anybody's on here that's in it, and you'd like to just say how you're doing, that'd be great in the chat. But otherwise, yeah, we invite you. Sleep to Slender, we're going to talk about that on Friday with Andrew, I think at 12:30. So if you're interested, sign up for that webinar. They're all listed on our website. Anything else? All right. I wish everyone a great evening.
Thanks everybody for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Frose. Have a great one.
Bye everyone.
Bye.